a computer clock.
Correct.
Thank you, Anna-Marie. So good afternoon, everyone. It is midday. We adjourned for the record. We adjourned for 30 minutes because we did not have a quorum. Tebogo raised an interesting question because Tebogo holds two portfolios, a member of EXCO as well as the chair of SLISEG. The question is, does that count as 2 points or 2 positions? An interesting question to which I don't know the answer right now, but I think it's worthwhile finding out. If I could leave that with you, please, Tebogo, have a conversation with our electoral officer who's also deeply knowledgeable about the Constitution and the rules. Colleagues, I welcome you to the very last Representative Council meeting for the current term. It's been a very long road, it's been an arduous road, and it's been a road that has roadblocks that no one in this world, in living memory perhaps, or very few people in living memory, certainly not LIASA members, would have sight of. I'm speaking about the flu epidemic back in the 1910s. 1918, I think it was, to 1921. And I don't think that we have any LIASA members of that age. Therefore, in our memory, in our organizational memory, we have not before experienced the pandemic, experienced the lockdown, the national disaster, and the challenges thereof. And while I'm generally a no-quit person, I must admit to you that the challenges of COVID have been something that have stretched me and tested me as an individual, as a leader, as a colleague. And one thing, though, that I took guidance from and which has helped me steer is the framework of kindness and compassion, of understanding that everyone is walking this road in different shoes. And sometimes it's harder for us, sometimes it's easier for us compared to those whom we're walking along with. One thing I'm also continuously bolstered by is the dedication to LIASA. All of you are here under challenging circumstances of varying degrees. Nevertheless, you are here. There are other people who have walked the road with us and have given up. And as I've said at previous meetings, we wish them well in their future. And we hope that whatever caused them to stop will be resolved, because LIASA is worth fighting for. LIASA is worth giving your time, your dedication, and your commitment to, over and above the challenges of a day job, of having to play multiple roles during the lockdown, parent, child, carer, all of those things. So I want to salute each and every one of you for coming this far. Our journey is almost over. We need to have one meeting more, and then you need also to do some things for us. And following that, we will release each other from our agreed upon social contract of working towards the benefit of LIASA for a specific period of time. That period of time was extended. That is also unprecedented. The opportunities that people call it extending a term. I really don't see it as an extension of a term. Certainly it was spread over 36 months, but the times available to engage fully, those were not 36 months worth. So I would argue that we did not have any greater advantage than any other president of a 2-term year. And if I had to choose one day between a 3-year COVID term and a 2-year non-COVID term, I would quite easily choose, to me, the less strenuous path. People speak about COVID being a catalyst to the problems in LIASA, and I agree with that. All COVID did was highlight problems that we had existed, that we had identified before. But COVID also brought challenges to the table that challenged our mitigation strategies. We had a very successful roadshow in 2018, 2019. It was a face-to-face engagement. And the building on that roadshow was predicated largely on face-to-face engagements. Many of our initiatives have slowed down or stopped because of COVID, and the organizations with which we are engaging, they themselves are not coming to the table because of changes, because of lockdown, because of the way the organization responds to COVID. But this is not a complaints fest. nor is it a sad day. There is much to celebrate, and one part of this meeting, I will ask each of you to share your successes and your thoughts and your concerns about LIASA and where we're going. For those of you who need to leave early, I'm going to shift the agenda around to make sure that you participate in that. I noticed that Tini needs to leave as early as 12:30. And I also need you, before you leave, to agree to the budget. And so what I'm going to do is, after this opening and welcome, I'm going to suggest that we confirm the attendance, and then we confirm the agenda. We do personalia, and then we move straight into finance. And then for you, Tini, before, if that is before 12:30, I would like to have a feedback from you about the term and about your committee and anything else related to LIASA that you might be interested in. Welcome to Manda and Bernice. So you haven't as Rebecca says, you haven't missed anything because we didn't have a quorum at 11:30. We reconvened at midday according to the rules of the Constitution. With no further ado, I'm going to go over to Mohadi. Mohadi, please recount for the record the list of apologies you have received and any proxies.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you, Madam President. The apologies that I've received are as follows: from our President-elect, Mr. Nazim Hadi. He's got work commitments, unfortunately could not join us this afternoon. We've got the second one from Roselle Johnson van Vieren. She won't be able to join us today. We've got the third one as Wynand van der Walt. Wynand van der Walt. There are so many W's, I beg my pardon. As an EXCO member also, if he's not around this weekend. And we've got the fourth one from Mesia Sias, who might join us a bit later. So the other one, I've cancelled it because I think Shirin is amongst ourselves. She earlier on said she had power off, but I think she has managed to join us now. Thank you. I think those are the ones, Madam President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mohadi. I saw Manda and Bernice joined us, and Tandi joined us quite soon after 11:30. Jeanette, did you say is still to join us at 12:30?
Yes, I did not repeat those joining later. Sorry about that. Jeanette Matsapola will be joining us around 12:30. And Tandi, if she has joined us, yes, she should be joining us now because she will be excused later at around 1. And so is Tini around 12:30. And Manda indicated to join us a bit late. They both joined us now because as if they knew our right time. And welcome to them. Thank you, Madam President.
Right. Keho?
And Pumi also indicated that 13:30 to leave around 13:30. Thanks.
Thank you. Over to you, Keho. You're going to give us an apology from Jeanette?
Yes, she might join us late because the last time I spoke to her, she was coming for the meeting. So something might have happened, maybe an emergency meeting. Yeah, so I'm hoping she'll join us.
We note the apology. That is what is important. So thank you for that. Rebecca,
thanks. Sorry, Madam President. Sorry, Nikki. Yes, Shirin has sent Sibo's apology that she might join us later. She still have a busy schedule today. Yeah.
All right. Look, let's note all of these. Rebecca, also please would like us in terms of procedure to note absences without apology.
We'll note that. Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you very much. What happened to the agenda? Please, Anna-Marie. Colleagues, in your invitation, you got a link to the minutes of, where is my document now? You got a link to the minutes of the 4th of March, 2021. I hope that you have read it. We will come back to it. I present to you an agenda. Anna-Marie, can you perhaps enlarge that? magnify it, I suppose the word is. Yeah, super. Thank you very much. So, colleagues, it is our standard representative council agenda. I know that during COVID, we have had several special meetings. The nature of this times necessitated those meetings, but today we have a full-on formal representative council meeting. We have noted the attendance register. Then there's personalio, and what we're doing now is confirming the agenda, and we will need to ratify the minutes. Then on point 6, we will go down to a report from the treasurer, as well as the proposed budget, which we will table at AGM next week. We'll speak about conference 2021 and then the various portfolios that are being held, and then feedback on point 14. If you will scroll down, please, Anna-Marie. Right, so point 6 was the finances, 7 is conference, as you can see, and then the various portfolio holders. Point 14 speaks to the matters arising, frankly, which are not covered by, which have substantive places in the agenda itself. And then the LIASA Academy, LIASA Awards. Nazim is not here today, so we won't be able to speak much to awards. Any other EXCO member that can speak to awards? I take silence as no. And then the next meeting, as you all remember, that in terms of tradition, the first representative council meeting, of which some of you are already members, especially you as incoming chairs and incoming conveners, is held directly after the closing of conference annually. However, in this particular instance, it is marked that it will be confirmed. And Azim, as the sitting president at that time, will convene that representative council meeting. I doubt strongly that it's going to be on Thursday afternoon, unless Anna-Marie, you know differently, and Rebecca maybe?
Nikki, I will just confirm with Nazim, but it might be on the Friday morning.
Right, fair enough. So colleagues, in any case, you will receive advance notice of this event. Now, I propose, in the light of people needing to leave, that we do some personalia. We call for personalia, Rebecca, please. I beg your pardon, and then we do finances so that everyone who's present can at least get a sense of the finances. And I would need a representative council's approval after discussion on that matter. Then I suggest we go back to the minutes and we ratify the minutes, and then we go on to more substantive, other substantive components. I also would like anyone who's leaving to please raise their hands and do a feedback assessment of the term of the committees and so on. Is that clear to everyone?
Yes, Nikki.
Thank you,
Yes,
ladies.
yes, President.
Thank you, everyone. And then secondly, I then take this as an acceptance of the changes of the agenda. Can we confirm the agenda, please? Do I take no news is good news?
Yeah.
Right.
Madam
So
President.
Yes.
Thank you. So Steve, I'd like you to start preparing for presenting. And in the meantime, Rebecca, could you please take Nelia? What you say, Steve?
I wanted to say the items for finances are supposed to be 4. The first one is the budget proposal for 2022, the membership proposal 2022, and the audited financial statement, as well as the appointments of auditors, as is supposed to be in the AGM.
Certainly, but we also have to present budget 2021, Steve.
The budget 2021, it's a management report. It's not supposed to be here. Those are the key ones which we are going to submit for the AGM.
I understand what you are saying. In terms of procedure, there are certain accountabilities that need to be satisfied. And the accountabilities that will be satisfied will be via the audited financial statements. And then we will do a proposal for the coming term, which must be agreed upon by AGM, but the recommendation must come from Representative Council. Hence, I'm presenting it to Rep Council. I'm quite okay with what you have to say, Steve. Again, prepare the documents, and then I'll call on you as soon as Mukhadi has taken the personalia. Please go ahead, Mukhadi. And we don't have a lot of time before people must start leaving.
Thank you, Nikki. Other than the ones that are recorded on the LIASA website, for this particular meeting, Madam President, I haven't received any further personalia that I'm not sure if members might have one at the moment that we might record or note down. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues. I want to, on behalf of the Executive Committee and yourselves, I want to congratulate anyone who has had a celebration, whether it be a birthday, an anniversary, the birth of a child, other milestones in one's life as a human being, graduating, and so on. I also want to extend sincere condolences to all who have lost loved ones in the period since we've last met. We have lost LIASA members, I think, not as many in the recent past, but nevertheless, each life lost is a sadness shared by all of us, and know that we are thinking of you and praying for you. For those of you who know of people who are struggling with COVID, we wish them well, and we hold you and them in our thoughts and in our prayers. Thank you very much. Over to you now, Steve. Tini, while we're waiting, could you perhaps do a bit of highlight or just a sentence or two about your thoughts and experiences about the term and your committee?
Certainly, I can go ahead, Nikki.
Yes, please.
We are reporting about the 3-year term right now. Bigger highlights from the committee was the 2019 Speakers Forum when we had a session of a few days regarding the 4th Industrial Revolution. Last year, with the virtual Indaba opportunities we had, or the webinars, we had 2 people talking to us about contextualizing data. One was Dr. Johan van Wyk from Turkish. He spoke about research, data management, and data curation. And we had Dr. Lorette Jacobs of UNISA talking to us about the new professional qualification that UNISA is going to present in a few years' time. This year, we had the opportunity and the privilege to host Alex Kyrios. He is the Dewey Decimal Classification Editor, and he talked to the community about adjusting classification notation for South Africa, what the process would be, and if we have any need to do that, then we know how. This was made possible by Dr. Gert de Jager from UNISA, because he is the South African representative at the DDC Policy Committee. Apart from those bigger events, we contributed at the bigger LIASA opportunities. We contributed to the South African Librarians Day, and this year, our PRO, Mata de Waal, we have enrolled her on the LIASA Roll of Honor. And we also contributed on the South African Librarians Week. had a lot to say over Facebook, and we have an annual publication, ICBIS in Touch, that we are working on and that we are publishing. Last year's was a brilliant edition, and this year's would also be a brilliant one. And furthermore, I am very proud to say that the ICBIS is an interest group that's using the LIASA website. We have our administrative documentation uploaded there. We are busy finalizing it to hand over to the new committee. And this year's annual general meeting documentation are also available on the ICBIS membership site. All of the ICBIS members were available for the 3 years. Apart from the chairperson, nobody was affected by COVID, but some of the members, friends and family members and so on were affected. This was a good 3 years experience. We are handing over to a NEET committee, and I think we are glad that we are LIASA members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tini. Deep gratitude for your report and for your comments and for all the efforts of yourself and all the committee members. ICBIS certainly is a committee well worth emulating. Thank you also for your attention to the administration requirements. And we are proud to have you all as LIASA members. Thank you. Steve, are you ready? Is Steve around? Okay, colleagues, I don't see Steve on the call anymore.
He was, Madam President.
But I don't see his name here anymore. Rebecca?
He was around, but he wanted us to display his documents.
Right.
So I'll just quickly check on him. I was trying to get, I think I got hold of the membership one for now.
Okay.
I have resent the documents both to Anna Marie and
right. So Anna Marie is projecting. Thank you very much, colleagues. Steve, over to you.
Okay. Thank you. The ESCO proposed to Rep Council that we approve a 5% increase on membership, which would be as indicated above. Those are the proposed membership fees for the next financial year, which we propose to Rep Council that the membership fees be approved for submission to the AGM. But mainly, last year, the membership was not increased, and while the costs also increased, and if we do not increase, it will bring down our funds. It will affect our financials negatively. That's why we propose a 5%.
Colleagues, any input from yourselves? There is a proposal on the table that we apply a 5% increase across the board. Are you in favor of this? If you are not in favor of this, what are the alternatives? The expenses that Steve is talking about that are growing are cost of living expenses. So inflationary expenses, right? So before, if, as you all know, electricity has gone up by a substantial amount. Yes, we are operating or working from home at present, but before the end of 2022, we will be out of lockdown and we will go back to the office. Other rental and service providers costs will increase, and therefore we need to make these adjustments. Remember also that our two core income streams were compromised over the past few years during the COVID years. Membership has dropped by almost half, and secondly, there's no significant income from conference because the costs have changed. The cost models had to change to accommodate people. So may I please get input to this matter? Lynn, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I think it's fair. So I support the proposal.
Thank you, Lynn. Colleagues, I'm going to have to go down our participants list now. So who's that?
Nikki is me.
Laddie?
I also agree with a 5% increase. Yeah.
Thank you, Laddie. May I then ask it differently? Who disagrees with this? Who has an alternative proposal? Colleagues, I want to emphasize that this matter must go to AGM, at which time the decision of this committee will be proposed to AGM, and we expect you to stand by the decision made here. Anne-Marie, please go ahead. And then Keho next.
Sure. Thanks, Nikki. I don't have an alternative proposal. I would just like to ask that the South African individual fee be either rounded up or rounded down to 680 or to 685.
Yes, makes sense, Anne-Marie. Thank you very much for that. Keho, over to you.
Madam President, I wanted to share the same sentiment to round it
Certainly.
off, but
Yes.
also just to support that. I mean, we didn't increase last year, so it's, I mean, inflation is going up, so
Yeah.
I think it's fair.
Thank you. I want to thank you very much. I want to remind this committee also that the costs are not, there are no personal benefits to these costs. If any traveling that we do are traveling for LIASA, and at which time reasonable remuneration in terms of food or reasonable sustainability is expected. So you get a plate of food, you get a decent bed to sleep on, and you get transported, whether it be by aeroplane or by taxi, whatever, to the meeting venues. There's no fat in LIASA's budgets, colleagues. Anne-Marie, do you have something new to say?
Sorry, no, just being forgetful in lowering
No
my
worries.
hand.
I really struggle to lower that hand. Colleagues, if there's no more input, I'm going to ask by a show of hands, or I'm going to do an actual poll right now and just run down the participants list.
Madam President, I just want to
Yes,
find
sir.
out, are we still going to have the 3-month payment option?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't remember us changing it. Anne-Marie,
Okay.
Steve?
Yes, we will have it. So as long as they are paid up by probably 1st of April, Laddie, then so they can start in October, November, December. No, wait, I'm lying to you. So if they want to pay for the early bird, then that must be paid up before the end of the year. If they are willing to pay the higher fee, then they must be paid up by 1st of April.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nora, I'll get to you right now. Laddie, just to let you and the committee know that we struggle tremendously with people who half pay in these 3 months. And it becomes a financial and administrative burden for LIASA in the longer term. This has always been designed to support people, our members, in terms of finances, but it becomes an expense to LIASA. And as president, I have curtailed some of these activities during the term. For example, anyone who has not paid up by today will not be able to join conference unless they pay directly and immediately from next week onwards, because in essence, granting credit to our members costs LIASA. So it costs us, it costs you in the long run, because we come back to you and we say we can't manage our budget because of these extra additional financial pressures. So for me, the 3-month thing is a double-edged sword, and I'm not sure that it services the people that we're trying to help. Nora? And then Susie.
So, thanks, Nikki. My comment was to do with early bird. I think Anna-Marie's already touched on it. I just wanted to ask that the minute that we actually prepare these documents, so that the minute the AGM has approved membership fees and things, that we advise everybody that the early bird process has started, because I don't think that we reach out enough for members to understand that, you know, with an early bird, that there's actually a saving to them, because they'll be paying last year's membership fee.
I do understand what you're saying, Nora. Yes, I think that some of our messages might have been ambiguous in the past. Susie, I note that you said in the chat, you suggest that we round down to 680. What else might you want to share with us?
Yes, good afternoon again, colleagues. As you are saying, with the 3-month payment is quite an expensive exercise and is very administratively draining. And the other thing is that members, once they pay the 1/3 of the amount, they forget that they have the balance. And at the moment, we don't have a system to remind them to say, listen, you are in arrears or something, please pay up by 1st of April. So they end up being like that, and then come the election time, they're not on the voters' roll because they still haven't paid up. So I don't know what to do about it, but I just want, maybe we should somehow have a way to encourage people, members, to just pay up the whole amount upfront and just have it done with by first time around. I do agree that this is quite a very expensive exercise, and as you're saying, is hitting on other members' pockets, and but I don't know how we can do it really, because this year a lot of the members in Gauteng North, they had just partially paid. Even some in the executive committee, they had just partially paid, and they couldn't even access LIASA online, for instance, and they couldn't even vote. They can't even be nominated. They can't even nothing. They're just not members, but they have paid partially. It's a problem. I think there's something that we need to do about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susie. You're quite right. We want every LIS practitioner in this country to be a LIASA member, not so much because of the income stream, but because of the importance of LIASA and how LIASA can only benefit from the diversity of expertise that exists in our profession. Now, reminders are sent out to people on a regular basis. That is why I was alluding to the administrative burden. They are being reminded, right? I don't know what else we can do, and maybe this committee can come up with some suggestions around how we can then get people to act on those reminders, or we can up the number of reminders.
I wasn't aware of the reminders, sorry.
Anna-Marie, am I correct?
It means people are not just reacting to those reminders, then maybe we shouldn't have them that latitude to pay partially.
Anna-Marie?
Members again.
Sure. Anna-Marie,
Yes.
just tell the committee what we do about the people who are part payers.
So for any open invoice or unpaid invoice, we send monthly reminders. Sometimes people just forget to pay, and sometimes they ignore the payment. But every month we do send a reminder. We resend the invoice until we get payment. And of course, some just don't pay. But at least some of them actually do make payment. So it's monthly reminders.
Yes, thank you very much, Anna-Marie. Mukhari?
Thanks, Nikki. I think as you just asked, what maybe if there are other suggestions from this committee, I think LIASA office is doing very well in this regard. But for us to boost that, as branches, as interest groups, mainly the branches, we need to extend that kind of reminders to our members, to our specific people that are not even members, because LIASA can only reach those who can access their listserv. So as branches, we have, and as interest groups, we have to constantly as well remind them, using that kind of reminder from the office to extend it to our members. I think that's the best we could do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mukhadi. Susie, do you want to say something else?
No, thank you. I think it's an
Okay.
outlet and it's still up.
Yes. No worries. Okay, so colleagues, the agreement, I think it's a reasonable ask that we just round the numbers down. So with the SA individual is 680, which is slightly less than 5%, but it is very practical because I don't have R2 easily on me, or I save them for the car guards or part of the car guard tipping. So it's not easy necessarily to do. Even the online, of course, you could do that R2, but nevertheless, let's be practical about it. I would like to make a proposal, though, that the unemployed, the interns, and even the pensioners, that we don't make adjustments in those 3 categories. And what are volunteers, guys?
Is those individuals like in Limpopo that volunteer their services at a...
Oh, those people, no. Okay, so I want to propose that we add those 4 categories, because those, Rebecca, you need to mute.
Sorry.
Those people are already giving their own time and they're not being remunerated fairly. I don't think it's right that we should add an extra burden, even if it's R15. This is the way LIASA shows support to our fellow practitioners. Colleagues, that is my proposal. Interns, pensioners, unemployed, and volunteers. If you're unemployed and you're living on a grant, or you're living on a grant, the government does not increase it by that much annually. That is my proposal.
I second that.
Thank you, Vladdy.
I also second it, madam, because
thank you.
We're going to get a fight at the AGM about this.
Yeah, the thing is, these are our most vulnerable people. You know, as LIS practitioners, we are vulnerable. We don't get the recognition that we are working towards yet. But in our community, there are vulnerable people. Interns are people who are newly graduates sometimes, and people, if you don't have a job, then asking people for more money just doesn't seem right. Pensioners as well, the way South Africa treats its elderly or its pensioners is shameful. And then, you know, the people in Limpopo, that is just a travesty. It's a travesty of justice, to be honest. Right. Steve, how do you feel about that suggestion?
No problem, but I think we also forgot the undergraduate students.
Oh, yes, I did. Hey, I beg your pardon. If they are students, interns, pensioners, unemployed, and volunteers, the proposal is that we don't increase there, but that salaried members of the LIS profession are asked to provide almost 5% to increasing fees. Yes, Nora?
I don't have a problem with the sentiment, Nikki. I'm a pensioner myself. It's just to bear in mind that the costs involved in servicing, there is an additional benefit, and in a way, the costs don't come down. But everybody is entitled to the SAG list, the LIT and stuff like that. So I just thought that individual members should know that in a way they would be subsidizing the cost of servicing. I don't think it's a big group of people, which is why I think Steve is fine with it as well. But there is that underlying thing. The services don't decrease. The services, the cost is the same. Yeah, that's all I... Yeah.
And it's a fair point that you are making, Nora. In various models, the young people usually subsidize the older people. If we think of our pensions, for example, as you move towards retirement, the way your pension payouts are structured, the contributions and so on, simply means that young people subsidize older people and so on. And I think the argument is similarly found in medical aids. We are trying to do two things. In LIASA, we are inclusive and we built on the principles of democracy. But I want to talk about inclusion right now. Students, interns are all emerging librarians. They are our future. And the sooner we bring them into LIASA, the better it will be for us and for our profession and for our country. And so we need to encourage them and make them understand that they are welcome from the time that they start studying librarianship or other related courses in the LIS sector, for the LIS sector, rather than once they've graduated. It goes into what we're talking about, the student chapter, and how we value those students as much as we value our full-time members. So thank you, Nora. The point is made and noted. And my last comment on that matter is that we know that LIASA must find alternative streams of income. And this one of the one subsidizing the other is not going to be sustainable in the long term, or it puts continuous pressure on us to maintain an organization through membership, which is not an ideal or a sustainable answer. And again, I still say the academy for me is where the income generation will mitigate against the losses that and the risks of the losses that we face by not increasing the fees for those 5 categories. Right. Anyone else, colleagues? I don't see any more hands up. And so I'm going to ask us, please, as a committee, to make a decision, which is a recommendation that will go into AGM. And the decision is the following: that for South African individuals, in terms of membership fees for 2022, it would be recommended increase up to 680 Rand. So it is an increase of 30 Rand. For 5 categories: SA undergraduate students, SA interns, SA pensioners, SA unemployed, and SA volunteers, that there is no change in the membership fees because of the circumstances related to the economy, as well as the material conditions that these particular categories of our colleagues find themselves in. That the African individuals, the international individuals, institutional membership, etc., is increased by a rounded number. So that would be 3420, I would presume, Steve. And if Annemarie, if you could just scroll down, or is that the whole document? Okay, no, not to worry. The motivation, we have spoken about it. Steve has made mention of it. We have not increased fees for 2 years, and the inflationary costs continue to increase, and LIASA functions at a lean level, at a stringent budgetary level. But nevertheless, we do need the income in order to be a functioning organization. Right, colleagues, might I please have someone propose this, and then acceptance, and then if there's anyone who has a counter proposal, I invite that as well. So I'm inviting you now to propose acceptance and to support it through seconding. I see Shireen. Nora, is that a historic hand or new hand?
Sorry, it's a historic hand, but I will second.
Thank you. So Shireen is the proposer and Nora is the seconder. Is that okay?
Yes, with me.
Certainly. Colleagues, I'm speaking to you as a committee now. Are we one voice with this matter?
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you,
Yes,
Bernice.
madam.
Yes, madam.
Thank you, colleagues.
Supported.
Thank you very much. We will, thank you, Lynn. We will pick this up at AGM again, but I will state with confidence when I present this, when Steve presents this, that this has the full backing of the Representative Council, which is correct and therefore legal. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, Tini. Be well. Thank you for your time. And thank you, Pumi, for your support. Steve, would you like to go on to the next part of this budget presentation?
Next one is proposed budget 2022.
Certainly, please go ahead.
Maybe just to say that we have worked on the budget is out of the revised budget of 2021. We're still sticking to that, reducing the budget. And I also want to say that we will continuously try to save as much as possible because the income streams are also limited. Our key streams, membership, and also like the grants are also getting reduced. So we are proposing a budget of, if you look at the membership also, it will be reduced. We are going to revise this to suit the proposed membership fees, and we will adjust it accordingly based on this. But we have tried to reduce our costs and also our anticipated income, because we are aware this COVID is not similar to when we are operating on a free range.
Yes, thank you very much, Steve. Anna-Marie, can you enlarge just by about 5%? I think it's sitting on 89% now.
Rebecca?
Oh, sorry, Rebecca.
Yes, sorry, I'm
just a little bit bigger for the colleagues.
Where do I go
they all
again?
have young eyes, but
go to the bottom right-hand corner. See where it says percentage. Just click on the plus.
A little bit more, Rebecca. Click another. Okay, stop. See if you can center this now. If it goes, so just there where you were, just pull that sliding bar, yeah. Okay, that's quite visible, right? All the rows are and columns are in place, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the top, Rebecca? Yes, it looks like the whole document's on the screen.
Yes, yes, thanks.
Colleagues, I think what is important are column C and column D, yeah? Because when we say 5% increase, we go, no. Look what it means in real terms, yeah? So under individual membership fees, we have made, as Steve says, we have made decisions around this. We've amended that, and Steve will amend the budget accordingly. Likewise, for institutional membership fees, they just need to be rounded up. If you could scroll down a little bit, Rebecca, so that publications go further up to the top. Steve, can you speak to it, or will Medora speak to it? There are no increases under publications. Why is there no increase, Steve?
That is the income column.
Oh,
so we probably don't expect any
increased
extra income.
But again, the question is why? Is it COVID related? We normally derive a lot of our income from advertisements. Nora?
Nothing is guaranteed, Nikki. We had people fall off in terms of advertisements last year and this year. Mainly COVID related. We can't get to a lot of our traditional people. So the ads have dropped off. We have been able to get grants from sponsorship from, DSAC, but that is also not guaranteed in the sense that it depends on what programs we have running that they are prepared to sponsor. So we've been lucky really last year and this year, which is why on the magazines you will see that it says sponsored by DSAC, but we have to apply every year for that.
No, for sure. Thank you very much. I wanted the committee to hear the thinking behind these recommendations and also to feel or to see, have it demonstrated the impact of COVID. Again, I go back to what people say. COVID was a catalyst. COVID wasn't a cause of the challenges in LIASA in some aspects. In other aspects, LIASA is not exempt from the impact on the economy that everyone else is feeling. And we know many businesses are going out, are closing down, and consequently then they've had to adjust their budgets or in order for their survival. Thank you very much. Other income, you know, as Nora said, Steve, are you back online? That a lot of this is great. A lot of this is projected. You'll see under training that we have not yet quantified the potential income stream from the academy, but that is understandable at this stage. There's some work that needs to be done in terms of marketing. Steve, before you step off income, are there any general remarks that you want to make or anything that we might have missed?
The general remarks is that EXCO understand that we have got less and less income sources, and we are trying to minimize the expenses as much as possible.
That's a very good point. Thank you very much for making that. Then, Rebecca, would you scroll down to projected expenditure? And Steve, would you speak to it? Yeah,
sorry, before we just go past conference income, just to alert the colleagues that that amount of conference income is only possible with a face-to-face conference. With a virtual conference, we don't come even near that amount.
Thank you very much, Anna-Marie. Right. Anything else? If not, then down to projected expenditure. Steve, over to you.
These expenditures are as usual, and we also tried to make these expenditures based on previous experience, and those are the projections which we think it will go around that.
Thank you, Steve. Colleagues, some of the expenditure is unavoidable in order for us to operate. So we must have staff. And as you know, we work on a minimum number of staff and they do diverse duties. And then there are some imperatives such as SARS, UIF, Compensation Commissioner, and skills development. Rebecca, if you could scroll down to operational costs, please. Right. So again, these are some of the tools that we need in order to continue working. Please remember that we will come out of COVID likely in 2022, and therefore the working model will change. And then some of these requirements will kick back in, like the speed point, for example, and so on. Accounting fees are very important in terms of governance, as are auditors' fees. We have legal obligations through VAT, and then maintenance and such contracts and other incidentals that keeps the operation moving smoothly, and insurance is part of risk mitigation. Scroll down some more, please, Rebecca. Then under telephone lines, data, and so on, again, the infrastructure to continue working. And I just want to bring the committee's attention to row 62, new laptops. We haven't yet, if I'm not mistaken, Anna-Marie, effected the purchase of new laptops for the staff. And it is incredibly frustrating that staff have to work with machines that are not in support of the operations. Right. Affiliations to professional organizations. For LIASA to maintain its international status and international recognition, we have to be visible. And we have been visible at IFLA. The SABDC sadly has closed down. Steve, you need to change that, please. it was correct at the time that the budget was being compiled, but subsequent to that, the SABDC has shut down, so there will be no 2022 fees. However, I do want to bring to this committee's attention the Imbizwil magazine, and just bear with me for a second, please. I said that wrongly. It's the Imbiza magazine. I'm going to put my video on, and I hope that you can see this. No, I have to lose my background. Again, just give me a second. Right. Okay. So, colleagues. Okay. So this is the Imbiza magazine. I don't know if you can see it back to front or upside down. And it is it's marked as the Journal for African Writing. Now, what is the content? And it's marked as Nourishing the Minds. This is what I'm showing you is volume 1, issue 2. LIASA featured in volume 1, issue 1 through Nora. And Nora, if I'm not mistaken, you spoke about South African Library Week as well. The reason why the executive committee has recommended a subscription to this magazine is that there is a disconnect that was recognized. In libraries, we advance the importance of a reading culture. It's in our core principles to advance lifelong learning and continuous professional development. And yet, on the other hand, there's the creatives. And as you've seen at several Library Week events, where it is said that libraries don't support local writers, libraries don't necessarily support Indigenous languages in terms of their collection. And we see this magazine as the bridge or part of the bridge. It's not the whole solution, but it's part of the bridge to closing that gap between creatives, those who write in Indigenous languages, and libraries. And let me just show you, this was the issue that celebrated women, and there are several important seminal Black African women who are making a difference in our society in various conversations. And these are things that we must talk about. We can't retain our interest only to libraries, because libraries are entities which we ourselves argue are parts of community. And these are conversations that take place in the community. So on the cover is Pumla Dineo Gokola, a fierce African feminist activist as well as a scholar. And in here, in this magazine, also, there are book reviews, for example. There is a role for LIASA to play. And I have spoken to the editor, who himself is an accredited African writer, Sipiwo Mahala. And by the way, he will be doing the keynote on Wednesday next week in the conference, if that hasn't changed. And Barbara Boswell, if I'm not mistaken, is an educationalist of renown as well. And so what I'd like to propose to REPCO is that perhaps it's not under membership fees as such, or affiliations perhaps, Steve, that the Imbiza magazine, which at the time only cost 80 Rand, but I think Sipiwo said it's gone up to 100 Rand, that the executive committee's agreement to a subscription of this magazine is then put in the budget at this place. And if you think there's a different place for it. For those of you who are a fan, Shubnam Khan also features in this magazine. And then yours truly also gets some printing space. Steve, what do you think about my comments? And to the committee, what do you think about this conversation? What are your thoughts in relation to this conversation?
The subscription to magazine is not that significant to an extent that we can support it.
Guys, Lynn, please go ahead.
we can still accommodate it from the budget perspective.
Hi, Lynn.
Hello, thank you. Just a question on the
I'm not hearing
subscription.
you.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me now?
I can hear
We
you
can hear
loud
you,
and
Lynn.
clear.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
we
can
can
also
How's
hear
hear
you,
you.
Lynn? Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
We can hear you.
and we can hear Tini as well.
Yeah, all is very clear.
Okay, I'm saying we can. Oh, Anna-Marie says you can hear me. Okay, great. Then Lynn, can you hear me? And can anyone else hear
Yes,
Lynn?
I can hear you. Nikki, can you hear me?
If not, then Lynn, I'm going to ask you, please, if you would pop that into the chat. And if I could
Okay.
please get the committee's
We can hear
insight
Lynn.
on the suggestions that I've just made.
It seems colleagues can hear me. Maybe I will check.
From
I will
Nikki's
type
side.
in the chat as well. But maybe just to quickly ask.
Oh, everyone can hear Lynn except me.
With
I don't
regards
know
to
what the problem is then. I'm
subscription,
sorry.
is it
Rebecca, can you maybe tell me what Lynn was saying?
Is it an electronic version? Do we have access to the magazine? That's just a question regarding the subscription to the Imbiza magazine with regards to accessing it.
Can
Okay,
I
colleagues,
answer
this is
that?
all very strange. I can't hear anybody, so I'm going to leave and come back.
I
Could
can answer,
somebody from
Lynn.
EXCO, Rebecca, could you please chair the meeting, and I'll come back as soon as I can? And I can't hear you, so I'm assuming that you are agreeing.
Yes, Nikki. Colleagues, Tini, yes, we heard you. Nora, please go ahead and answer that. Sorry about it.
So it comes out in print first, and then subsequent to that, yeah, so with regards to the subscription, I wasn't sure whether it will be made available to all council members, but they do offer both a print subscription and an electronic subscription, but the print version comes out first, and then a few weeks later it's available electronically. I'm not quite sure why that is, but I don't know how the subscription will work for the association, or whether it's an individual subscription.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm back. I thought I heard some voices. If somebody could please say something.
Hi, Nikki.
Yes. Nora is busy talking. We can hear you now.
Oh, I see. My volume has gone funny.
Okay, sorry, Nora, you can continue while Nikki's
No,
suggesting.
I was done. I was saying that in answer to Lynn's question about whether members can access LIASA subscription, I don't know whether that was the intention. I think our intention is to support it, and at the same time try and get institutions to support subscriptions as well for their public. Yeah.
Thank you, Nora. Sorry, I'm still just wondering about that. Then, if I mean, I am in support of the subscription, but just in terms of who will then be accessing those issues.
Oh, you know, Lynn, that's an interesting question, but the whole of LIASA, all 15, well, it used to be 1,500 or up to 1,800 in 2019, wouldn't be able to access one magazine because of our spread. Yeah. So I hear what you're asking about an electronic version. And until this magazine becomes an electronic version, we would say that it would be held by the office and it's available to anyone who would come to the office.
Thank you, Nikki.
Because honestly, colleagues, I mean, let's be practical here. Many of you work in libraries which have subscriptions to various what is the word, publications. And can you honestly say that all of those publications are available to all people at all times? And if we're talking about 100 Rand per issue, and then potentially up to 4 issues a year, even though we'll see what the frequency is. Then we're talking about 400 Rand. Are we really going to quibble about 400 Rand and wanting to spread 400 Rand amongst 1,000 people?
Nikki, no, that's not what I meant. My question was just regarding, okay, so there's a subscription to this, but where would one, if you want to have a look at it, access it, and whether it was possible to have an electronic subscription so that if the committee wanted to, you know, have a look at it, that it will then be somehow accessible. But
I
I do
understand.
hear you. I was not thinking in line of a subscription like we do at institutions where one would have a multiple user access, but just in terms of the subscription now, whether the committee will be able to access it at some point if one needed to.
The answer to that quite clearly, Len, is yes. And the location will be in the LNO. Yeah. If, I mean, in Nazim's term, you can talk about if you want to circulate it around the country. I don't know if it's honestly, if it's worth that, but if you think that there are, you know, we can share contents page or something, if there's an interest in that regard. Sipiwa was talking about going electronic, but because this is a new magazine, a new subscription, he hasn't finalized those talks as far as I know. Perhaps we can ask him at the meeting next week when you're all there in the Q&A session. He might not be speaking about this magazine specifically, but I see no reason why he can't be asked about that and how we can benefit from it. Susie, I see you saying with you're saying you agree with Lynn. What part of what Lynn said do you agree with? And then Lynn, yeah, maybe circulating the table of contents. We can do that.
Yeah, it's about access. And I heard you before the line cut me when you're saying that maybe institutions can support that. But I'm sure you are aware what institutions are, what dire straits institutions are, that we have to cancel some of the subscriptions because they are not heavily used, just used by 2 individuals or so, and it is just not worth having those kind of resources being subscribed to, because it's just not cost effective. So I think the same principle applies to this publication. I think for now, let's just freeze it and then maybe reconsider it when we have recovered some of the money. Because I think I heard Nora saying that this time around we didn't have a lot of advertisers, and we have lost revenue in that manner. So in order to, why would you want to even give away more while we still need to recoup that, starting afresh after post-COVID or in the new normal, to see how we can get advertisers get into our lead magazine. So for me, it just quite makes sense to take more, while we find ourselves in these dire straits.
Okay, so Susie, we are not touching the budget. We have budgeted, as we do annually, for the South African Book Development Council. And because the Book Development Council is closing down, we're going to save 7,600 Rand. And I'm suggesting that we use 400 Rand of that 7,600 Rand in order to buy a magazine, 4 issues a year at the most. So therefore 400 Rand if the price doesn't change. And in return, we're going to get, in return for that 400 Rand, we are building a bridge between libraries and between the creatives in our country, especially African and indigenous writers and creatives. And so there's a lot of negative sentiment about libraries, and the feeling and thinking that libraries don't support writers and other creatives. Those conversations came up, for example, in South African Library Week. So that is the one advantage. And the second advantage is that I've spoken to some people about featuring LIASA in every issue. And therefore, we're going to get marketing in a magazine that is spread across the country. So another vehicle for us in terms of marketing. In my view, that's not a bad return for 400 Rand. In fact, it's a fantastic return for 400 Rand. We are tapping into markets that we have not had a foothold into before. We are putting LIASA into the awareness of groups of people who didn't know, and some of whom still don't know that LIASA exists. So is that worth 400 Rand, colleagues?
Nikki,
who's that?
It's Noda. May I
Yes,
just add?
sure.
It's not, it's for the African diaspora. So the magazine contributors as well as subscribers are actually international. The writing is international. And if we think about supporting journals, it's not a magazine, it's a journal for new African writing. And if we think about journals that existed in South African literature like Contrast, Star Friday, it's in that tradition of journal publishing in South Africa and writing literature and exposing especially young writers and new writers in the African diaspora. And I mean, it's a credible journal supported by the University of Pretoria, where Sapiwa works. And I do think for 400 Rand, if LIASA can make sure that there is writing about LIASA in every issue, then really you are reaching a market that we don't talk to. And we librarians need to talk to writers, really.
Thank you very much
I feel
for
very
that.
strongly about that.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I mean, they've come to our essay library week and said lots of things. LIASA undertook to participate in South African book development events, notably National Book Week and the South African Book Fair, which we spent a fair amount of money in that we took EXCO members there. We had a stand. We bought into the notion of LIASA and libraries engaging with the publishing part of the book value chain, the authors and other creatives that were at the SA Book Fair. All of that has fallen away because the SABDC has closed down. And all we're asking is for a small investment in order to attend to big returns. So,
Madam Chair.
yes, who's that? Please go
Sorry,
ahead.
I had my hand up. Sorry about
Sorry,
that.
I don't see hands, but go ahead, please. I'm sorry, I didn't see you earlier.
Yeah, I think on the one hand, it's good in terms of LIASA putting itself out there in terms of collaboration and what Nora has explained. I do understand the sentiments of the colleagues because they say out of sight, it's out of mind. So maybe if it's going to be a hard copy that will be kept in one place, it might be a challenge. Maybe we need to try and work on the electronic thing so that at least people can have access to it. And then for the time being, while we're working on that, we can, as somebody suggested, have like a contents page every time that is sent out to say this is it, because we do want African right. We do want young people to publish and use this, you know, have a stake in this would be good for LIASA. But having one copy will be a challenge. So we need to probably look at a way that people can have access to this, because if they don't see it, it's out of the mind, you know.
Sure. I hear you, and thank you very much for your input. You know what I think as a potential content provider for the journal at some stage, Nora, perhaps you will agree, is the extensive work that Free State does with promoting writers, especially African writers. I know other universities and organizations do it as well. But, you know, that kind of thing is where we're raising the awareness of LIASA. Colleagues, I've spent far too much time on this conversation. I think I just missed so much talking to all of you. But I noticed that we're running out of time. Lynn, last comment, please.
Oh, thank you. I'm okay. I think I've added my comments in the chat as well. But I think as a start that yes, it's a good thing. I've just had another thought popping up just with regards to LIASA featuring in each and every issue, and perhaps we need to at another time unpack it a bit and see how we as interest groups and branches can collaborate, and to ensure then that each issue has LIASA featured with an article or something. That's just something that popped up now that I think would be a good thing to do. But we can discuss it at another time.
Thank you very much, Lynn.
That's actually going to play out to ensure that we feature in every issue. But I do think it is a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Colleagues, I see Susie says worth checking out. Indeed, it is, Susie. I can promise you that. And all libraries should subscribe. I agree fully, Nora.
Let's give it a try.
Sisi, I wish you were close to me. I'd give you a copy. I got 10 copies because I featured as Nora did previously. I'd gladly courier one to you. Welcome, Tabi Singh. Sorry about your circumstance. Not clear about what that is, but sorry, and I hope everything's all right on the whole with you. Lynn, you want to lower your hand? Colleagues, I'm going to move away with the position that REPCO is supporting the subscription to Imbiza based on the conversations and the reasons given. If you object vehemently, please put it in the chat. I'd like to move on, please. Thank you very much, everyone, for your consideration. I see that Rebecca, you just stopped the presentation.
Madam Chair, can I be excused?
Yes, please, Laddie. Thank you for your contribution. Laddie, before you go, just give me a sense of what you think about the budget.
Okay, I'm in favor with the budget so far, Madam Chair.
Right.
Just also another thing, I think I also need to say something about the interest group.
Please.
Yes, I think from the start, we were very excited as the sports staff intergroup to start this 2-year term, supposedly. I think we had also, me and you had conversations about what we're going to do.
We did.
Unfortunately, COVID happened and just everything just fall apart. Yeah, but I think also the sports stuff will still be here. We discussed it at the AGM. Unfortunately, election also was a bit of a hiccup for us, but we will still be here. Still be in LIASA.
Laddie, I want to pay tribute to you specifically because you have been a stalwart in the support services group for many years now, and also to all the members of the support services group. It is unfortunate that the people in the support services group are the ones who are most affected by the COVID lockdown, and that access to devices, access to the online environment did not come as easily to this group as it might be for other groups in LIASA. I want to give you my personal assurance as the almost immediate past president that I will continue to champion the support services group, and what you and I spoke about in 2019 in terms of recognition is still on my to-do list. Yeah?
Okay, Madam.
I felt strongly about support services before I became president, and it hasn't changed during the term, and it will not change afterwards. We will get this right at some stage, Laddie. Yeah,
we will. Thank you, Nikki.
Be well. Take care of yourself, and greetings to your family.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Right, colleagues, the last part, the projected expenditure. Steve, is there anything here that you'd like to bring to our attention, please?
The Rep Council might be looking at at marketing where you see it's 0-0, but most of the marketing would be doing it from the grants we get with the promotional materials, for whatever. We tried to cut quite a number of things. Some of them, it will be embedded in that line.
Yeah. That's a very good point, colleagues, that Steve's making. We harness the opportunity of grants to build in the marketing component beyond just the immediate. Colleagues, what you're looking at is a COVID-driven budget. Yeah? And are there any questions from the floor about this budget? Steve?
And that the other thing, the total profit and loss, the revised one which I had, the latest revised one, it's for, we are not going to present a negative
no, we're not.
balance there. It will be around 4.9, but with the adjustments, so it will be a positive balance. It will not be negative 25,000 rand.
Yes, thank you very much, Steve. You and I will make sure that we put this document up on the AGM site by Monday for the latest, so people are able to look at it with the proper numbers. Yes, Lynn?
Sorry, I typed the question in the chat as well.
I see it here.
Wondering, yes, I've got a question regarding the accounting fees that are so steep. Yes.
Rebecca, can you go to?
Is there any room for considering then another accounting firm or what? I mean, surely, I don't know. Everybody battling with finances and things, but I don't know, that just seems quite steep.
Thank you for the question. There are standards in terms of the amounts which are normally supposed to be paid in terms for, particularly for auditing. And that is the minimal amounts, because I was checking with the auditors, how much is it really, if you are auditing an organization with a particular amount. They are talking, most of them are talking about around 60, 80. And because I was also concerned to check, so if we get it at the amount which we are getting at a minimum amount.
Thank you. But if one, I don't know if we can just look at those fees again. The auditing, I hope I got it correct, is much lower than the accounting fees. So that's just my question then. Why are the accounting fees so steep compared to the auditing fees?
Okay, thank you. In LIASA, we don't have financial people. We outsource that, and most of the things they do technical accounting work, like our monthly balancing projections, and also submissions to SARS, and our accounting on issues of salaries, it should be standardized for compliance. And that is the reason why it's like we don't have an accountant. We rent out an accountant on a monthly basis. What is happening? And I think this is the area where I was just saying, maybe sometimes we must build those skills within LIASA, but it also takes time sometimes. But it's something which we must build, but there will still be your specialized accounting services which you did, because the people we have internally are not pure accountants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nikki?
All right. So can we finish off on this matter, please? I'm just a bit worried now about time. We're going to lose some more time, Steve. Colleagues,
Nikki, I think Anne-Marie is trying to talk.
Are you, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, sorry. I also just want to remind the colleagues that the 20 structures, the 10 branches and 10 interest groups, their accounting fees and their auditing fees are included in that accounting fee.
Yes, thank you very much. That's an important point that you're making, Anne-Marie. So, Lynn, it's not apples and apples because the auditing is for LIASA auditing, which are content provided by the LIASA accounting services, whereas did I say that right? The auditing is provided by, NKA accounting, but the accounting is done for LIASA and then for each branch and interest group. Did I say that right, Anne-Marie?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to close on this matter, please, Steve. So I'm asking the committee, do you approve this budget? And can I please have a proposer and a seconder?
I propose, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Bernice.
I second, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Is that Tabi Singh?
No, it was Pumi.
Hello,
It was Pumi, yes.
All right. Thank you very much for that, colleagues. So this will go to AGM. As Steve said, we're not going to present a negative number. From Monday for the latest, you will be able to see the budget. You won't get any nasty surprises. It will be what you approved. Could we please go to the audited statements?
Do you have it, Rebecca?
I do, Anne-Marie, but you can project it when you got it before. Thanks.
Thank you, colleagues. On the audited financial statements, we were audited by Coty auditors, and they are auditing us for the second year in a row. They were auditing us for the second year in a row. And as usual, our report, we still got a clean audit on our financial statements. So there is nothing serious about the financial statements of concern, but the only issue which we are having issues on, it was the issue of prior issues where we have cleared it from this financial year. You would not have prior issues of non-payments because we have taken a decision that no one would be able to attend our events without payment. So by a particular date. So it's one of the issues which you would note. And we're still at around, despite the problem of not having enough income, we were still at around that 4 million as by close of financial year 2020. So despite the issues of COVID, we were still safe a bit because generally we should trade below, we should not trade, should not trade below the balance of 4 million. We were around 4 million. So in terms of liquidity of financial statement, we are still fine, though we should be worried of the fact that we are not generating a lot of income as an organization. But we are trying to cut as much as possible whatever is not good for us in terms of expenditure. And where possible, like the drastic decision which we have taken, I know it will affect a lot of rep council because we are the ones who are the leadership, but it's important that we make sure that for prior issues of non-payments, we try to avoid it as much as possible.
Thank you, Steve. So
I
colleagues,
think in general, that's how I can sum up our financial statements, but you can go through them and where there are issues you are able to raise.
colleagues, what Steve's referring to is the decision that I stand by, that attendance at the upcoming LIASA conference is only possible if one has paid in full. Now, the reason for this is historic, and it certainly wasn't caused in this term, but we have for many years in a row had situations where organizations even issue POs and they don't honor the commitment afterwards. And LIASA over the last few years has had to write off probably over R500,000 Rand because of this, and expended in terms of effort in trying to recoup money. And you know how expensive it is to try to get money back. Probably a similar amount, or that is what contributes to that amount of money. We have to start somewhere. Previous presidents have tried to implement it, but it's really difficult to deal with face-to-face when people just rock up at conference and they sit down and they demand access and then you take it. They've come so far, you don't want to send them back. That's one of the very few benefits of COVID, is that we can restrict access to online engagement. It is an extreme measure, as Steve has said. Undoubtedly, there will be some collateral damage, but we have to start somewhere. And when the next treasurer, whoever that person might be, who's elected in the current elections, stands on the stage next year, they won't have to do, as Steve has done in the current term and as Dani Malan did in the previous term, stand on the stage and have to account to the LIASA membership around unpaid conference fees when it wasn't of their doing and it referred to previous times. So the next treasurer will not have to do that from this year. Yeah? And it is something that, yes, our income might be compromised, but at least it is better for us to have a little money and be out of debt than to have a lot of money and still be in debt. Yeah. Right. Are there any comments or questions around this document, colleagues? I think what is important is that LIASA has maintained the tradition of a clean audit. Are there any hands? Any comments? Are you prepared to accept this document?
We are happy, Mrs. President.
Thank you very much, Bernice. Anyone else? Colleagues, if you're uncomfortable or you need some time, thank you, Keho, and thank you very much. Appreciate the comment. If you're uncomfortable and you don't want to ask now, you're welcome to ask us, but please, I would beg you, please let us not throw out an AGM over things that can be explained and resolved at this committee. Okay, colleagues, I have resounding silence, so I'm going to thank you very much, Leanne. Appreciate it. Thank you, Bernice. Okay.
Thank you.
Steve, are you done now?
The next item is the
Yes,
last
go ahead.
item, is the one with regard to the appointment of auditors. Normally, we have appointed county auditors for the past 2 years. It was approved by the AGM, and the EXCO is proposing to Rep Council that we still appoint county auditors, and it will be their last year, because in terms of procedures, we can only be audited by an auditor for 3 years in succession, so that we give, and the next 3 years or the next 2 years or so, it will be another auditor, just to ensure that we deal with the issue of ethics in terms of not using the same auditor every now and then, but we can use the auditors up to 3 years, and this would be the 3-year, the 2021, which we are proposing that we still be audited by county auditors, but it will be their last year to audit LIASA. So that is the one which we are going to, which we request Rep Council to approve for us, so that we take it to the AGM.
Thank you, Steve. I note that Teresa has also accepted the audited statement. So thank you for that, Teresa. Colleagues, could you please approve the recommendation made by the Treasurer that we use these auditors for 1 more year? We are well within the procedures in LIASA to do so. Could I please get your feedback? Is there anyone who objects to us using county auditors for the upcoming assessment period? Okay, so Teresa has said agreed. I presume, Teresa. Thank you very much. Thank you, Teboho. Colleagues, I'm going to take no news as good news, and I'm going to remember we're going to go to AGM and say, dear AGM, REPCO says, right? So your name is in here. If you don't agree, then please would you signal your concerns and we can unpack it. Right, thank you very much. What is next on our agenda, Steve? Are you done completely and totally?
Yes, I'm done, Madam President. If maybe sometimes the EXCO is just Rep Council, it's just that I did not think about it. I can just send them our progress on the current budget because it was presented in the previous EXCO meeting, just for Rep Council to be aware. But we are doing well in terms of what we have budgeted for this year.
Steve, just bear with me for a second. Lynn's hand is raised. Lynn, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to overburden this point, but just for clarity, the appointment, I mean, I am in support of the auditors, but just for clarity, is it only the auditor appointments that need to happen every 2nd year, and not the that does not apply to the accountant?
No, yes and no. Yes, it's only the auditors.
Okay, thank you.
The service provider, the accounting service provider is an operational matter, and their performance is monitored by EXCO.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
No worries, I'm glad you asked. I'm sure someone might have had the same question. Go for it, Steve.
Just to deal with the issue of the auditors. The reason why we have to change the auditors now and then, particularly after every 3 years maximum, is because if you stick with one auditor for a long time, it might attract interest in terms of whether what we are getting is genuine or is not genuine.
Sure, sure. I understand. I understand that completely, but I was just wondering whether it only applies to the auditor.
The answer is yes, Lynn. So I take it that's okay with you, and we can then close this matter. Colleagues,
Yes,
it's one.
thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you for your interest, Lynn. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Colleagues, it is 1:40. Through no fault of our own, we had to pause for 30 minutes. And so we've lost 30 minutes of our meeting time. And at 2 o'clock, certain members of this committee are going to leave to attend to the recordings for the conference. I just want to check who they all are. Nora, I know you. Anna-Marie, can you stay or must you go?
We actually use this platform, the Zoom platform.
Oh, so we must go. You're going to stay and we must go is what you're saying.
Yes.
All right. Colleagues, I would like to propose.
Exactly.
I would like to propose the following. I really would like to hear all your voices by 2 o'clock, just to make input. With regards to the minutes, and just scroll up, please, Anna-Marie. On this document, which was circulated, it speaks about the minutes of the 9th of February. It is actually the minutes of the 4th of March, 2021. And then I've checked with Rebecca. I think that the REPCO meeting of November 2020, the minutes were not attended to. So Rebecca and I are going to do an audit of outstanding minutes, outstanding approval of minutes. And then we are going to send this to you by email, and we are going to request your input, corrections and amendments and agreement. Therefore, you will support the adoption of the minutes, all by email. And colleagues, I'm asking you, please, it must all be done by next Tuesday, close of business. Yeah. You could possibly go into Wednesday, but not later than Wednesday, because don't forget, on Thursday, we close this term in a handover, and this we must complete before we leave. If you agree with that, then with regards, please scroll down a bit, Anna-Marie, with regards to the following points. Conference 2021, the program is in place. The conference committee is finalizing the program and matters related to conference. And at 2 o'clock, they will start live recordings, and recordings of the various presenters and so on will be done today, and probably a few more days. I would please ask all of you to attend AGM, even if you're not attending the conference. Please attend AGM, participate in AGM, and bring your support to EXCO as we present at the AGM. Then with regards to the portfolio reports, I'm afraid we don't have time to talk to it. You certainly will hear about it in the President's report, and we will send out the requisite document. Feel free to send messages to president@liasa.ac.za to ask for any information you want around these portfolios. And I invite you over the next 5 or so days, it is, before we hand over, for you to make any input, comment, and insights around any matters relating to these portfolios. With regards to point 14, SCIXL 2022, the incoming president and I have had a conversation in recent times about SCIXL 2022, and we have no clarity or no change to the position that LIASA will host SCIXL 2022 in 2022. The RPE student chapter and SALGA are all matters that are on the back burner. RPE and student chapter, largely because we've run out of human power, and SALGA because SALGA seems to have disappeared. Is that right, Rebecca?
Yes, Madam President, they've been quiet.
Yes, we have not heard from SALGA for a while now. We know that the person that we liaised with in 2019 has left SALGA, and that might be the reason for the silence. Yeah? The LIASA Academy, The plan is, colleagues, to name the LIASA Academy after Claire Walker. And it also will not be called an academy. Claire felt very strongly that this body should not be called an academy because academy is invariably aligned with academic teaching. And what we are doing in LIASA, it goes beyond academic teaching. It is my proposal that we call it something like the Claire Walker, what did I say, Anna-Marie? Continuous Professional Development and Lifelong Learning Center. Yeah? So Claire Walker CPD and Lifelong Learning Center. It will be announced next week after consultation with various parties. The LIASA Awards, I'm afraid Nazim is not here. We will write a report about that. And the next meeting will be announced to yourselves, those of you who are continuing, by the then president, by the coming president. I'd like now, colleagues, to pause for a minute. I'm going to go to point 13 for the next 12 minutes. But before I do that, I just want to pause and ask, are there any questions about today's meeting? If not, then to save, oh, Bernice, I see your hand is up. Please, would you go ahead?
Yes, Madam President, I just want to know, will you guys continue to pursue SALGA?
Yes, absolutely. That's a very good question. Everything that you see there is in progress and in process, and it is through challenges such as COVID. For example, it's not on the agenda, or it would have come up somewhere else probably, that in this year, we tabled again with SAQA the request for additional professional designations. You have heard me talk about this before, and we were turned down again by SALGA. I beg your pardon, by SAQA. I think it's the third time now. And so I've asked Anna-Marie to contact SAQA with a view to us having a discussion and a semi-workshop with them to understand what the challenges are. But I'm afraid, Bernice and other colleagues, it's not something that's going to be resolved in the 4 days that I have left for my term. But it is a work in progress, and it will be picked up by the next president. So because SALGA, when we get into SALGA, when we, that will solve a lot of the challenges that we have right now in municipalities and other local government organizations, institutions, and employers where people can't participate in LIASA for various reasons, including national legislation. And that is how LIASA could then stimulate the conversations around LIASA membership and then change the challenges that we have around membership and around income streams. Right, Lynn?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernice.
Thank you. I just have a question regarding reporting structures and integrating international portfolios with LIASA. It's a query that I received this week from colleagues, and it's something that I at times also battle with, where one is serving on the, for example, IFLA committees, and integrating that with our portfolios within LIASA. So I just wanted to ask this question: how best to handle integrating international committee portfolios with the branches or interest groups, please? If
Lynn, this is not a question that can be answered in the time that we have left. Even if I use all the time we have left, I'm still not going to tease out all the nuances and touch on the complexities of what you're asking. Yeah? I think this question is best left for Nazim and his committee. But I want to make some observations about the question. Yeah. The challenge that is coming up is something that we have been worried about for a while now. When IFLA changed its model from, instead of requiring membership through your national association, they now have opened it for direct membership. And because this is a recording, I'm not going to spend too much time sharing my personal opinion about why that was done. But in essence, it was a ploy or another way of ensuring and strengthening an income stream, right? So we find it debatable that people think that they don't need to join a national association, but they want to go straight to an international organization where their exposure and the benefits might suit them better. It raises questions about service, about servant leadership. If you want to contribute, you're going to go straight to the top. How do you pay your dues? It links to that question, Susie. Do you remember a few years ago about the motion at AGM about how people pay back, so to speak? What the benefits that they derive from becoming LIASA winners or awardees or LIASA committee members? What do they actually give back to the organization? So it's the same question. If you think that you want to be a directly IFLA member, but you don't want to be a LIASA member, what does that say about what you think about your national association? Then AFLIA did exactly the same thing. While they complained about it when IFLA did it, AFLIA went and did exactly the same thing. So, Lynn, this is why I say I think it's a debate that needs to be unpacked, because it's about the value of a national association, the responsibilities of a national association, and the obligations of each practitioner towards their national association vis-a-vis international practice. Now, we know that there still are people in our country who think that LIASA is not good enough, and therefore they won't belong to LIASA, rather than coming into LIASA and trying to make a difference from inside. We also know that in our profession, people are notoriously antagonistic towards each other. And if you don't like me, or the color of my shoes, or the color of my dress, or the color of my hair, then you are not going to support LIASA while I'm president. I have that already I have examples of that right now. And this is why we put up the candidates debate, for example, so that people vote for the candidates who appear to be the best fitted for the job, rather than I like Nikki, I don't like Nikki. I'm going to vote for Nikki because I like her, or I'm going to vote for Jan Rapensemat because I don't like Nikki. Yeah. So it's about mindsets, Lynn. That is the first point. The second point is then, what do we do about it? What do we as LIASA do about it? Because we value, I must say, people going to IFLA, for example, being members or participating in IFLA is of benefit to LIASA as well, because those practitioners are growing and developing and engaging at an international scale. But what is missing is, where does LIASA fit into that picture? How do we derive value from what that practitioner has to offer now that they've developed by international exposure? Yeah, because it's not about LIASA as an organization. LIASA fronts the rest of the practitioners in the country. So how do the rest of the practitioners then benefit? How do we grow from each other? How do we learn from each other? And then, so that, Lynn, to me, is the complexities. How that happens needs to be teased out in conversations with the, exactly, CC, I agree with you. Charity begins at home. So, Lynn, even if you're not a member of the next committee, but you are, please, we will apprise Nazim, of course, of the contents, and he will undoubtedly listen to this recording as well. But I think it's one of those things.
I think maybe I phrased it incorrectly. What I meant is that committee members, LIASA committee members that also have or serving on committees in international library associations like IFLA. But the question is how to best integrate it with LIASA.
For sure, Lynn, and those are solutions. You know what you're saying, you're offering solutions, but again, it needs to be debated by the people involved, which will be the incoming committee, and of which you are a member. Yeah. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Susie.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Susie, I'll tell you where candidates' debates come from. Candidates' debates come from the time when I stood for National PRO back in 2014. And Ingrid had put the idea in my head about joining at a national level, because I was angling to join at a more leadership branch level, having been a member of the branch executive committee for a while. And it was at that time that the two of us spoke about how do we choose amongst a range of people whom we don't know? And it's not important to know who the people are. You don't need to know what they like for breakfast, but you do need to know what the valuable contribution will be to LIASA. And rather than the populism, which has been prevalent in LIASA for many years. Yeah, I vote for you because you're my chummy, or you're my chummy's chummy, or because I like the color of your shoes, whatever it is, and to move it away to fitting people to portfolios based on their commitment. Does that sound familiar? Hashtag commitment, based on their commitment. And then we hold them to what they've said. So CC, if you are a successful candidate, those candidate debate recordings, you will get that as a present. And so, yeah, that is the history of candidate debates. And over the years, I've spoken about it. We never got it right. And I'm very, very, very pleased to say that we got it right now. And I hope, I really believe it's entrenched now. We've raised the expectations of LIASA members around their governance and holding the people in their governance accountable. Right. Bernice, is that a new hand?
No, it's a historic one.
Right, colleagues, we have 4 minutes. So I'm going to offer either 8 people 30 seconds or 12 people 20 seconds, but I really would like to hear your voices. Please, would you just say one sentence if you can, or speak very fast, and to give as many people as possible an opportunity just to reflect on the term, something you want to share with a group of us, please.
Madam President, can I go first? Because I have to leave at 2.
Go. We're all leaving at 2, so go, Bernice.
Okay, then. I just want to my highlights of my term. The 3 years actually went very fast. Was very grateful to be nominated, or how do you say?
Anyways.
Yeah. We had challenges, very terrible challenges with people resigning, leaving us, just myself and Chair-elect. But we soldiered through it all. But we had good times. We had 3 successful library weeks. We had a successful roadshow with you, Mrs. President, and the rest of the and I still believe the restructuring will benefit a large province such as the Northern Cape a lot. As I feel as a chairperson, we could not reach all our members, or maybe prospective members in the rest of the province. It's just concentrated in Kimberley, which I feel I didn't achieve that one in my term. I hope it will get better in the next term, that we reach all the Northern Cape. Also to change the mindsets of our members, because if especially the DSEC colleagues, if DSEC doesn't pay for them, they don't want to pay on their own. If we can just work around changing their mindset where they have to pay for themselves. Yes.
Thank you, Bernice. I have to stop you.
Thank you. Okay.
I know there's a lot more to talk about,
yes,
but I'm sorry, just to thank you sincerely for your work. Teresa?
Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to say on behalf of LIASA Make, thank you for all the support we had from everyone. And also for the LIASA Make committee, I think we did very well. We are still very active, especially on social media. And we had a couple of webinars and joint webinar as well with LIASA Make. And other than that, I can just say I really enjoyed the 3 years, and I've gained a lot of experience. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity as well, LIASA. That's it.
Thank you sincerely, Teresa, for your contributions. Keho?
Mine is just 3 points because of time. We had 2 big extravaganzas within those 3 years, which were very successful. It was a reading club we had, and then we had an elderly also event where we donated food parcels and toiletries to the old people. And we were very successful with our newsletter in the past 3 years, just to advertise LIASA. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And please convey to Jeanette and to you my deep appreciation, because Free State have really done amazing things to promote South African literature and further along, as Nora said earlier on, around the diaspora. So thank you sincerely for the work that you have all done, because we can talk long about
Yes,
that
madam.
as well. Yeah?
That's why we are the best branch.
Yes, you see, I can't say. I'm supposed to be neutral, ne? Like Switzerland. I have to be like Switzerland. But I want to commend you and,
Thank you,
Jeanette.
madam.
Colleagues, it is 2:00, and I suspect Anna-Marie might very well pull the plug on us. I'm so sorry that I didn't get to hear from more of you. Let me put my camera on. Anna-Marie, just be with us for 1 minute, please. I'd like to close the meeting.
We can give you another 15 minutes.
Oh, I absolutely adore you. Right. So, colleagues, who's next?
Madam President, it's Kolage.
Yes, you another one to commend. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam President. One can see at this moment, this was very unfortunate for us to save. But again, I think we should we say we are the most blessed ones to save in this era, because I've seen a lot of interaction between stakeholders within our province, between the stakeholders and also LIASA in the Limpopo branch, especially during the early stages of lockdown. Most of stakeholders were actually overwhelmed with NGT as to how we're supposed to handle the lockdown, and we were there as the branch to advise stakeholders such as the Department of Arts and Culture. And again, that actually grew confidence in our stakeholders towards what LIASA or what an association is supposed to be. This is where, as the association, we were supposed to give a light to our stakeholders and the community. So, and from you, Madam President, we would like to appreciate all the effort that we've put, especially during the road show. We really appreciate that, because you managed to give us an ear to hear what is it that we're actually crying about. And unfortunately, we could not reach more, but we did the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kolo, and I want to pay tribute to the Limpopo branch. The challenges there are enormous, and yet you and the colleagues continue to plug away and to push and to pull, and all in defense of our profession and of our practitioners and our fellow colleagues. So I really want to commend you. I am deeply sorry about the fact that we could not come back as we had planned in 2020 to deal with the challenges that Limpopo had. And, you know, I keep on talking about it. I spoke about it in a telephone interview. I wrote about it in another newspaper interview. And even in Imbiza magazine, the journal, I spoke about holding officers accountable for the money spent and the money that's supposed to go to places like Limpopo and the libraries in Limpopo. So my friend, all strength to you. Let us keep on fighting together. We don't need to be in positions of leadership in order to make a difference. And also, Steve, acknowledgement to you too, and thanks for your role in the Limpopo branch. Colleagues, thank you very much. Who's next? I saw earlier on, Leanne wrote that I am pleased to have been acting chair. Let me just find that place in the chat. Let me just pop it out. Right. Let me start with what Shireen said. For me, it has been a difficult term, losing the treasurer and the PRO. However, we've had many successful webinars held by PACLIC KZN. We also held 3 SA library launches until 2020. Shireen, congratulations to you and to your team. We understand that things have been challenging, and Thank you, though, for persisting. Leanne said, I've enjoyed the last 2 years as acting chair of RETIC, and there was a resignation halfway through 2019, and I've learned a lot. Despite our small committee, we've managed to do a few webinars and make RETIC more visible. Indeed, you have. And thank you for putting RETIC back on the map, Leanne, and to your fellow colleagues. There are just a few of them. I enjoyed engaging with you, and the plans that we have, as I said to you and to Connie in recent times, is I think that RETIC is the research arm of LIASA, which, as you all will remember, it is part of our restructuring in the Secretariat to have a publishing function. Susie said it was exhausting the past year. Hey, Cici, there were 3 years, but also a learning platform and opportunity to be creative. Thank you, Susie, for your contribution. Yeah. Whom else? Okay, so that is what I have in, and there is one more I missed. Thanks. Oh, thank you, Nikki, for leading LIASA. And thank you to EXCO and REPCO. Thank you very much, Keho. Right, so we still have a few more minutes. Pumi, my sweet dear friend, come on, you must say something.
Good afternoon, colleagues.
And
it was
hello, Cici.
Very difficult 3 years for me because we didn't have a chair-elect since 2019 and a PRO. But we tried our best with the colleagues that I had, Giselle, Tembi, and Michael and Noma Kosi. Our highlight is that we had a successful South African Librarians Day and the ESCO graced the occasion. I thought it would be our best strategy for marketing, but it didn't turn good because our membership declined since last year. I think the challenge in that is because we don't have a support from the DCSR heads, the director and the deputy director, because the deputy is she was our May convener, but only to find that last year she didn't renew her membership. When we asked her why, she said it's too expensive. I told her that no, guys, it's not expensive. What about us teachers who are paying too? Membership were we are in SAIS and also in LIASA, but it's not difficult for us.
Yes.
I think maybe the next coming ESCO need to come back to Mpumalanga to sit down with the DCSR heads and also the Department of Education. Yes, we tried our best.
Cici, my executive committee colleagues who are in this meeting can attest to you that on our strategic plans, on our planning for 2020, that coming back to your branch and to speak about this matter was part of our planning. And it is unfortunate that we couldn't do that. But you're quite right, the seeds have been sown and the new committee will have more opportunities, I believe, and will expend efforts to fix all of these things and attend to the matters that we couldn't take forward from the 2019 roadshow, and which I also picked up in the roadshow, the virtual roadshow that we held earlier on. So please be assured that the record of the challenges is available and will be handed over to the incoming term. Dr. Tabi Singh, thank you, Pumi. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Let me just appreciate the outgoing leadership with the support that you gave me the time when I was taking the baton from our previous chair, Mr. Mandla. It wasn't a very easy time when I was taking the leadership, but your support was very much grateful and appreciated. What I can highlight from our branch as Gauteng South is we have managed to have a very successful roadshow with you, where we were interacting with you, madam. That was very good, and the leadership, and even the successful launching of National Library of South Africa. That was a great highlight success from our branch. For what is happening now, ma'am, the issue of COVID-19, what I can say is all of us are starting afresh. We are all starting afresh. You know, I'm not afraid to say I'm still learning, but due to COVID, every branch has been affected. So we need to apply new methods, we need to apply new strategies. We can see how the membership has been declined. People are, their morale is very low. So we said as Gauteng South during our AGM that let's use the hashtag iStretch, where we are encouraging all the branch executive, everyone must stretch so that we increase the standard of our branch, even the membership. So we are taking this position now with high spirit and teamwork to say we will serve even if it's not easy, as long as people are flexible to stretch. LIASA is not based on one person. If I'm not active, there is no LIASA. If there is no membership, there is no LIASA. If there is no ESCO, there is no LIASA. So all of us must stretch as the whole country to support our association. Thank you very much.
That was wonderful, Tabising. It is absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much for your kind words for EXCO and for REPCO. We are here to support you. And please remember, colleagues, we are here to support each other beyond the term of leadership. So all strength to you, Tabising, and I love that hashtag stretch, because I was hoping that the process of the use of a hashtag will continue from my term into subsequent terms. Sipongile, how you, Sisi? You want to say a few words? And then Mahlodi, you too. We only have 5 minutes, so you only need to speak for a minute if you want to. Okay, so there's silence now.
Nikki, may I?
Yes, of course you may.
No, thank you. I know I've asked a lot of questions today, but I would just like to say that yes, it was quite a bumpy start, and I think yes, everybody's had tough times, and for me, I was, as you know, at the point where I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to take this on, and you know, stepping in as acting chair of HELIC for the extended term. But I am grateful. I'm grateful for your support and also the support of the committee, because together we made it happen. And so I'm happy that we could have activities, and I think what is very popular now as a HELIC activity is the regular Friday afternoon coffee talks, and it's become so vibrant, and to a point where we are just running out of time. So I'm really grateful for that, and I'm also grateful that I took on the challenge, and I look forward to the new term, because it's not easy. But as colleagues were saying, together, if we do it together, you know, we'll get through this. So I do believe in that. So I would just like to thank you, Nikki, and also EXCO and REPCO and HELIC committee for the support. It's really appreciated.
Thank you, Lynn. I have to cut you short, but I just have 3 words for you. I told you so.
Thanks. Oh, thank you.
Going from strength to strength. Tebogo, you have the last word, my friend.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam President and the colleagues. So with the term that was extended, I'll simply summarize what has just happened by reading this poem by William Carlos Williams. It says, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. That's how I summarize the 2-3 attempts that we have. Thank you, Madam President.
That is a beautiful way, Teboho, to end a meeting and to end this term. Colleagues, I wish that I could have heard your voices, more of your voices, and that we could have met for much longer. But these are the new ways in which we work. Thank you sincerely to each and every one of your support. As Teboho says, we were eating the plums. Some of the plums weren't as sweet, but at the end of the day, we've come out of it stronger. We've come out of it better. We've all learned ways of doing things differently. So I wish you continued success on your professional journey, but most of all, I wish you continued success on your life's journey. And thank you for your contribution and your support to LIASA. No matter how you think it might not be enough, I assure you it is highly valued. Thank you. Be safe, be well. And for now, for this term, goodbye. But as friends, as colleagues, as practitioners, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Keep well.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you, Anna-Marie, for organizing, and everyone else who was involved. Really appreciate it. All the efforts, there's so much more work to do, but we'll get to it one step at a time. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, bye,
Anna-Marie?
colleagues.
Bye-bye, Teboho.
Thanks.
Okay.